All right, it's time to get the goats out and document the process. Hope you're well. I've been having a little bit harder time over the past couple days. And the couple days before that, I was feeling better than I had felt in a long time. So it's kind of ups and downs. I hope it's like ups and downs, but overall was up. You know, that's what I always hope for. Having dealt with chronic illness for about 12 years and having really gotten myself into a state of wellness at some point after about 7 or 8 years. I started to get well. It was a long journey. Anyway, the thing about persistent chronic symptoms and getting well is that it's like for me, I have to work consistently to keep myself well. You know, certain diet, make sure I keep exercising, and I notice, those things are my self-care. If I don't do those things, then symptoms tend to happen more easily. I mean, and I can get more robust sometimes where, like, for example, my dietary options become wider. But anyway, my point is, I guess, that it takes work on myself to keep this discipline on all levels. Like right now, it's forgiving myself. Oftentimes, it's forgiving myself rather than dwelling on, oh, well, I ate a tiny bit of ice cream a few days ago, and so not feeling as well now. And to see how I'm blaming it on that, and I don't really know it was that. Maybe I was already not feeling well until I ate the ice cream, and now I don't know, and I wish I hadn't eaten the ice cream so that then I would know at least it wasn't something I did. But I think that I thought I might as well eat a little ice cream, and because I'm already not feeling well, and that perpetuated it. But we got to forgive ourselves. It's really important, self-forgiveness. At the same time, as it's important, this is why it's important to consistently work on ourselves when taking a holistic approach to wellness, because it's work. It's work. It's not like you just take a pill and lay down and then you're cured. And we don't have that for certain things. We don't have that for late stage Lyme disease or post Lyme disease symptoms or long-term COVID or tinnitus. We don't have a cure for those things. We don't have a pill that you can just take and you're better. So from a holistic, sort of naturalistic approach, we've got to do the work ourselves. And there'll be times where we'll have human moments where we'll be prone to making mistakes, to zigging when we wish we had zagged, to not staying on that holistic diet that was helping us so much, or to neglecting to exercise, or not getting enough sleep, or working too hard, and there's so many things that go into it, and we're human beings on this planet with all the different factors that go into that. Maybe you have an elderly person you're taking care of. Maybe you have young children. Maybe you have teenagers. Maybe you have a relationship that's difficult. And all these things can be factors. So that's why we've got to continuously work on ourselves and how we respond to life. It's important to be consistent with meditation. It's important to be consistent with however we're committed to showing up for ourselves. And yes, it's important to get this gate open right now. There's 2 clips on it. I had to unclip the bottom. That's where I went when I dipped down for a second. But you know, all these things are important, and so right now the discipline is self-forgiveness, but it's also like realizing what the next steps are. I think it's a harder day. I'm probably having some inflammation in my gut. I think that's triggering probably some inflammation in my brain, and that's triggering a little bit of tinnitus, and it's a bit of a harder day. But I know that I can get better. People have gotten better before, and I've gotten better before. And with the tendency with this tinnitus is to think it's permanent. But I think that's, you know, the inner critic being fed by those things that we see online with people saying, you know, there's nothing you can do, and it's just not true that there's nothing you can do. I mean, there's a lot you can do to settle it down, and even for people who still have it, you know, they've settled it down. A lot of people have. I know some people who have really struggled, and my heart is with those people who have really taken a holistic approach and done really all the things, really, and they still have really difficult symptoms. But I think that's more rare, honestly. That's more rare, because most people who like think that they've done everything have actually not done everything. You know, there's a lot out there that we can do, but it's a big balance, right, with work-life balance and all those things, and you know, and being able to enjoy life. You know, some people just don't want to stop eating sugar, for example, and it wasn't even sugar that, I mean, I didn't eat ice cream that had sugar in it, and it was keto friendly, you know, so I'm still on my keto diet, and it was just a little bit, but I think really it had a little bit of egg in it, and that's in my recent set of food sensitivity testing. Egg was on there. It wasn't something that I previously was aware. I'd had testing. It was different testing, but and the goats are eating already, or they have been eating, and so I was just letting them eat for a second, but I just realized that I left their leashes over on the table, and Pan has come over to me. She's ready to be taken out, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna go and grab their leashes. All right, so why do I make these videos about holistic health while talking about goats? Well, for one thing, goats are cute. No, I think that it's therapeutic. These goats are like a form of animal-assisted therapy for me, and I'm thinking maybe at some point for others we'll actually have that. We'll have like goat assisted therapy. You know how like they have goat yoga, but these aren't the type of goats they use for goat yoga. Those are like little goats. I don't really know how I feel about goat yoga, but I think it's like more of a horticultural, agricultural, you know, being around animals, being in nature type of therapy. So I find them therapeutic. One, and another, goat milk is something that's I can have, and goat cheese, and like if I was gonna eat a milk or a cheese, it'd be from goats or from A2 cows. They have the A2 protein instead of A1 and A2, which is easier for most people to digest. And so that's been a cool thing for me, instead of eliminating dairy. Sometimes I go times without dairy. But so that they're going to be a part of that. Once we get all the fencing set up and everything, get baby goats, then we'll have we'll be able to have goat milk. But then perhaps even more so than that. So that's like an explanation of why they're relevant. And look, the sun's coming up over here. Beautiful Hawaiian sunrise. By the way, I'm Tom Kirkham, and I'm on Big Island, Hawaii, and I'm an integrative health counselor and a mental health counselor here on Big Island. But I'm gonna move the tripod. So yeah. So the other thing is that I'm consistently documenting my process, and I guess that's just like the commitment I've made to doing this kind of online journal, to making videos. And so I just decided to just document what I'm doing, and as I talk about things, instead of just sitting and talking. And sometimes I'll have videos where I just sit and talk, but sometimes I want to document, you know, what I'm doing, and just be consistent with that. I guess I'm repeating myself here, but it's what do I mean by document what I'm doing? Well, it's my process of getting myself well and these experiences. You know, the thing is that I'm someone who, come on, goats, come on. I'm someone who has been through a lot of stuff and also helps people. So, like, my thought is that me going through stuff and sharing that as I work to overcome things will help others. I know that those of you that know me well, you've given me feedback, and you see me that way, and I appreciate that. That's how I want to be seen, that I'm someone who's gone through difficult stuff and knows about it and helps people. It's been that way with me for depression also. I've been through depression, and it's something that I really have I feel I've overcome largely. But do I still have moments of depression? Yeah. But I kind of know how to get out of it now. And I think I kind of know how to get well when I have chronic illness symptoms. But I still struggle sometimes with forgiving myself if I'm having symptoms, you know? It's like, oh, it's something I did. And sometimes maybe it is. But you know, we're sinners, and we know not what we do, as Jesus said in the Bible. You know, we're sinners, and we know not what we do. And you know, as the Buddha said, there's suffering. It's one of the primary truths of life, that there's suffering, and so you have to be with that, yes. And we have to forgive ourselves, yes. And it's like, what's the balance between forgiving yourself, like, oh, you had some ice cream, or oh, you smoked a cigarette, or you know, you went back to your addiction totally. Like, what's the balance between forgiving yourself and like having boundaries with yourself? And I'd actually say that they go hand in hand, because it's really difficult to like change things if you haven't really forgiven yourself. And sometimes you just have to exhaust things, like not meditating, for example. Let's say that you have an intention to start a meditation practice, and you do it for 30 days or 2 weeks or whatever, and then you just, at some point you realize, oh, you stopped meditating. I stopped meditating, and what am I going to do now? And it's like hard to get yourself back to it. Well, part of that is the judgment, criticism of yourself. It gets you in this like loop. In my experience, and in the experience of many others. And then, but part of it's like you just, at some point you just exhaust it. If you forgive yourself, you know, and you're real with yourself, then at some point maybe you just get tired of it. You just get tired of, like, I'm tired of not meditating. I'm tired of how it feels to not meditate. I'm tired of how I'm not as mindful when I haven't meditated. And it's like, see, when I say it like that, I'm not really criticizing myself. It's not so much the words that I worry about. Although words can be important, but it's the feeling of it. Like, our inner critic, you know, the part of us that shames us and judges us, doesn't tell us the truth. And I don't mean the truth like facts, because it can tell us, you know, factual information. But I'm talking about the truth about who you are. I'm talking about a truth that you can only know in your heart, right? It's your sense of truth, of who you are, of your connection to your source, you know, of spiritual inspiration. And you know, even if that's just a knowing in your own heart. And I don't care what words you call God or who you worship. I really don't. It's all interesting to me, but I'm not invested in it. You know, I'm just not. I'm not one of those people that thinks that you're gonna get wrapped up with Satan if you don't you know, worship the right deity. And so there's the goats over there eating. I haven't tied them off yet. I'm just holding them. As I've explained in other videos, we have the little fenced area where we keep them, and they have some food in there that we put in there, but you know, they've eaten most of what's in there, and so we have to get them out and graze them, or let them browse, as it's called. Goats, it's not called grousing. It's not called grazing, it's called browsing. But we're gonna fence in this whole back acre eventually. But for now, I get them out, I hang out with them, and I kind of have them on a leash. We have a series of longer lines that I'll put them on, but then I hang out here with them while they're doing it. But I found that, you know, they like to, like, I haven't tied them off, but they just kind of started eating. And they're pulling me this way a little bit. I'll just let them go this way a little bit. Because they're eating and we're hanging out, and so that's good. It's good for me. I love the sound of their eating. I don't know how much you can hear it on here, but yeah, it's a very pleasant sound. And so, yeah, you know, self-forgiveness is so important, and self-criticism can really affect our health too. And when it really gets to a point, like, you know, now I just don't want to have ice cream again. You know, it's like I've done that, and I was like, okay, that inflamed me. That caused inflammation. That little bit of ice cream caused inflammation. You know, maybe it was combined with not having had enough sleep and having to deal with an emergency. And, you know, that's what I'm saying. That's, you know, that's what I was saying earlier, is that life happens, you know. That's part of it, is that things happen, things come up. And, you know, sometimes we go, darn, I wish that wouldn't have happened. And, you know, or more than darn, you know. It's like, oh, sometimes it's just like, oh, really, I would have been okay if just this, or that hadn't happened. But, I'm reminded of the Serenity Prayer from Alcoholics Anonymous, right? God, grant me the serenity to, accept the things I cannot change, and change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I might have missed some parts in there, but that's basically it. I'm paraphrasing, and so accepting what we can't change is it's really like super important. And I mean, sometimes with acceptance comes change. Sometimes you kind of go, yeah, this too is part of life. This too is part of the universe, or the overall experience, whatever it is. And it may, you may say that it's part of God's plan, even if you think that way. Or if you don't think that way, then, which I don't really necessarily think that way, that's kind of another topic. But I think plan is kind of a very human word. And the designs of the universe and the multiverse are kind of incomprehensible. But yet, it does seem to me that the things that happen in our life are for our spiritual growth. They're for our spiritual growth. So if you can think that way, and if you start to think and feel into how is this being used to mold me? How can I cooperate with the universe intentionally to let what's happening be part of my spiritual growth, or cooperate with God intentionally to let what's happening be part of my spiritual growth, or cooperate with my soul, my innate inner healing. Whatever it is, however you're inspired. And where attention goes, energy flows, and so you put your dedication towards this holistic health journey, and that's what you'll have. And I mean, there's so much power within us to create wellness. As much as you can have a persistent chronic illness, you can have persistent chronic wellness that you cultivate, and it comes back again and again, just like your persistent symptoms have come back again and again. And at some point maybe it can shift more towards wellness. I've like I said, gotten to where I'm 90% better 90% of the time, or just feeling well a lot of the time. And then, but I'll ask myself, is it okay to try something? And it's like, like the ice cream I had, and it's like, no, you need to stick with what you've been doing. And that's challenging. That's challenging, and more so for some people than others. I mean, for some people it's just like, well, if I just can't even have a piece of birthday cake every once in a while, then I'll just go ahead and have these symptoms. But then they're suffering, and it's like the symptoms are so awful, and they're like, I've tried everything, and I'm not mocking that, but I just, it's like the juxtaposition, the paradox of like, in one breath saying, well, I'll just go ahead and do this because it doesn't matter, and then in another breath, and it's really that. I mean, that's my version of it. It's like, well, I'm already feeling this way, I'll just do this. This is when I might as well do it. But it's like, oh God, what part of me was saying that? Because that's not my real truth of myself. So that's why I say that working on on things. Working on yourself and being consistent with that is important. And I think I did, I know I did miss a few days of meditation here and there. Really got more consistent with it than I ever have for a little while last year. And then during the holiday season, I got a little bit less consistent with it. And, I got some extra rest and all those things, but it's like, it's just me saying, okay, I need this. I'm not just an enlightened person. I need to be consistent with my working on myself so that I can stay in touch with the things I want to do for this holistic health journey. And for some of us, that's all we have to get ourselves well. It's not like a choice, like, oh, I'll add on some holistic health things to what I already do, which that's complementary medicine. That's definitely, for those of you that are on medications and things like that, it's like, hey, go for it. But for me, it's not really an add-on. It's like a trading, like exchanging of the traditional life I had for a life where I live these holistic health principles. And so that's it. And it's a learning experience. And it's like, that's the zigging, living these principles. And then, sometimes I zag. And, sometimes maybe that's all right. I mean, it's all right. That's the thing. It's all right. Our bodies are going to fail eventually. But I want to extend my health span, right? The amount of time that I feel healthy, past 100 years, maybe even 100 years of age, and hopefully at the end of my life I won't be sick for very long before I die. That's a health span, if that makes sense. And I want to support people in doing that. And however you do that may look a little different for each person. There's as many approaches really to life as there are individuals, in a sense. But yeah, it's a big commitment. It's like I say, it's like an exchange in a way. And I have to get over all the jealousy and the pity and all those things. And I'm very sensitive, so that's a story. What I mean is that that the jealousy and the pity are like stories that aren't true, that we tell ourselves. And I might hear some pity from somebody. Oh, you can't have sugar. Oh, how awful. Oh golly, you can't have this ice cream, or you can't have a piece of birthday cake, or go to a loud concert. And it's like, my response to that kind of thing has always been yes, and that doesn't even bother me because I have my health. And compared to when I was suffering, having my health is so amazing. And I am able to enjoy all kinds of foods on this diet that I'm on. Really. Sometimes it's just a matter of being in a moment and having a craving, and something is there. And I know that could be so hard for some of you if you have a relative or something who has stuff in your house. I mean, I've had different diets. We all have certain health diets in my house, but we have different ones. So I'm used to there being tempting stuff in my house, but maybe one day I was a little more tempted than another, and I told myself that a little bit of that traditional story. Like, yeah, I can go ahead and have a little of this. And I'm not judging it really right now, because I'm just realizing that story is no longer true for me at all. It's just not, because of what I've overcome and what I want to create for myself. And for whatever reason, Ever since I had Lyme disease, even though I got better, I've been prone towards going back into symptoms if I don't maintain certain things. Which, by the way, the things that I'm doing are things that even for a person that hasn't had an illness can help them be healthy past 100 years old, possibly. They're, things that are be healthy for a normal person. So it's, and I've got this chocolate that I can have. And it's, I use cacao and a little bit of, monk fruit or a tiny bit of honey and some kind of coconut manna. Some people, if you can't have coconut, you can use butter. So it's a ketogenic type of thing. If you can't have butter, maybe there's something else. Maybe there's something for everyone. But yeah, I can have chocolate. Not everyone can have chocolate. You know. So I can enjoy things, but feeling well is that's what I enjoy the most, and I know that about myself. And sometimes in a difficult moment, maybe we don't make the best choice. It happens to all of us. It actually seemed like a good idea to me at the time because the ice cream was like a keto ice cream, and I was craving like fruit, and I was like, if I eat too much of this fruit, it'll take me out of my ketosis, and so I'm on this ketogenic diet, which is where you burn fat, and which can be done vegan. It can be done with animal products. It can be done in different ways. That's a whole other conversation. But it's a clean keto diet. It's what you want, and I do like some animal products in there because you get the DHA from fish oil and things like that, but which is good for brain health. Whatever that is, DHA. I'm not very, very much of a sciencey person. I'm kind of more of like a philosophy of wellness type of person, the psychology of wellness. I mean, that's my whole trip, right? So me saying, yeah, you've got to work on it, it's like reaffirming my whole trip in a sense, but it's not in an egoic way. I mean, it's there are levels, and it's me deepening into my work. That's how I see it. And so, moving with the goats. So, if you've been not well, there's just a lot. There's a lot you can do for yourself, and the external things like the diet and the exercise. To me, those are really about evoking this internal healing ability that we have. The same as the meditation and yoga and breath work and things like that we do. Those are even more directly aimed at cultivating our internal energies and our innate healing abilities, which are just amazing. But that can catalyze then with the nutrition and things that you do. And then there's also this piece about cultivating awareness for the choices that we make, really for being as present as possible in this moment, to embodying the presence of our true self in this moment, so that we can respond to life in a way that's true for us. And I'm just realizing how important that is, and that it's just an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing journey. Even for people that are like really wise, they still report to me that they still work on this stuff of discovering the truth about themselves deeper and deeper. And working with self-forgiveness and disengaging from self-deprecation and shame. And if you're raised in our culture at all, then it's just likely that you have some of this stuff. So when you start to work on yourself and grow spiritually, you come up against it, because the mind is conditioned for generations and generations to protect us, maybe even for, you know, our entire human history, to protect us, and rather than encourage us to grow. And I think that's even more true in this culture. It's even more true in this culture. But that's maybe another topic. And so I'll go ahead and wrap up the video pretty soon here. It's getting pretty long, and I appreciate you. I appreciate having the community. I appreciate some of the comments that I've been receiving here on YouTube. I've been making a video every single day. I haven't had a chance to post them all every single day because I have to post them. I'm making these with my phone, and YouTube doesn't let me be live on my phone yet. When I get enough followers, it will. But I mean, enough, whatever I have right now is enough. But when I get a certain amount, catch the language on that, right? When I get a certain amount, it'll let me do lives from my phone when I get a certain amount of followers. But I've been loving some of the comments I've been receiving. So I'd love to hear your comments below, questions, concerns. If there's something you want to share privately, feel free to follow the links in the description to my contact form on my website. Or, you know, you could find me on social media and probably message me there. But those links are there too in my links tree on my website. But yeah, I hope this is helpful in some way to you. It's a helpful process for me. It's kind of like a form of online journaling or something, and hopefully the videos will get smoother as I learn and grow and practice. I am in a class, business class this year, and part of that is making online content. But I don't think I do it just for the class, honestly. I feel like the online business gives me an excuse to do it, because this is kind of like a little epilogue at the end here. You're staying on for it, but if not, that's cool. But yeah, I really think the business just gives me an excuse to make the videos, in a sense. I mean, I do want people to know about what I do and things, but a lot of people don't enjoy making videos, but I really do. And like I say, it's like a form of online journaling. And I'm really very busy with my in-person clients in Hilo. But I do have room for like 2 or 3 online coaching clients as well. But yeah, I just want that to be authentic and real, and to get to you know, meet with the people who will resonate with me the most. So my thing is to just work on being on here, being real, and I think it'll be fun to document the growth of this homestead as we go, which this homestead is really dedicated towards, you know, a space for healing. So thanks so much, and I hope to see you in the comments, and I hope you'll see me on the next video too. Aloha.